الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and again welcome back. Inshallah, today we will be covering the hadith which is famously known as Ḥadīth Qudsī. This is a type of hadith which majority of the people have heard of, and today inshallah we will go into a bit more detail, trying to understand exactly what this type of hadith is. So the author, he says, Al-Ḥadīth Qudsī wa min ayyi aqsam al-wahyi huwa. So we're still, just a recap, we're still discussing the different types of revelation, and we went over the different types in the previous lessons. That there's one which is something that is recited, there's another which is not recited, so the former being the Quran and the latter being the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in connection to that, he is now discussing the Ḥadīth Qudsī, because this is a hadith in which the statement is attributed to Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, so he's saying that Ḥadīth Qudsī, from which type does it belong? The Ḥadīth Al-Qudsī, which type of hadith does it, or which type of revelation, does it belong to? So he says, هناك طائفة من الأحاديث نقلت إلينا أحدا عنه صلى الله عليه وسلم مع إسنادها إلى رب عز اسمه. So he says that there are a number of ahadith that have been transmitted to us by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the sanad, so the chain of narration, is such that it is attributed to Allah Azza wa Jal. So normally we say, for example, عن عمر رضي الله عنه أنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. But in this hadith, as you will see, and as you probably have heard in the past, that it's Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم saying قال الله تعالى. So it goes one step further. Okay, so he says that these ahadith are known as al-Qudsiyya or al-Ilahiyya or Rabbaniyya. Now the question is that these ahadith, because they are it's a statement attributed to Allah Azza wa Jal, are these ahadith the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal, or is it the speech of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So we know the Quran is the speech of Allah. It's the meanings from Allah, and also the speech is from Allah as well. So he says, فَهَلْ هِيَ مِنْ كَلَامِهِ تَعَالَى وَقَوْلِهِ أَوْ هِيَ مِنْ كَلَامِهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم وَلَفْظِهِ. Okay, so we're going to discuss the two different opinions. So one opinion is that it is the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla as well, just like the Quran, and the other is that it is the statement of it is the speech of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam transmitting this in his own words. Okay, so he says وإذا كانت من كلامه تعالى أفيثبت لها خصائص القرآن الكريم أم لا? That if we say that this is from the state, this is also the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal, then does it also possess the unique characteristics of the Quran or not? والجواب عن ذلك أن للعلماء قولين في الأحاديث القدسية. The answer to this, is that the scholars, they have two different opinions regarding these ahadith al-Qudsiyya. We will try and cover both today. If not, then we will just suffice on one, inshallah ta'ala. So he says, الأول أنها من كلام الله تعالى وليس للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إلا حكايتها عن ربه عز وجل. That the first opinion is that this is also from the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, the only thing he has done is that he has transmitted it and conveyed this from Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, so it's the meaning and the speech, the words and the meanings both are from Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is from His speech. Okay, and then the scholars who follow and they adopt this opinion, they have some sort of reasons. Okay, they have some reasons and they have some proofs behind their opinion, which he will mention now. So he said, وربما يستأنس لذلك بأمور أن هذه الأحاديث أضيفت إلى الله تعالى فقيل فيها قدسية وإلهية وربانية، فلو كان لفظها من عنده صلى الله عليه وسلم لما كان لها فضل اختصاص بالإضافة إليه تعالى دون سائر أحاديثه صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he says that the first matter that these scholars have based their opinion on, and which supports their opinion, is that these ahadith, they are called Qudsiyya, they are called Ilahiyya, they are called Rabbaniyya. So they're saying that why is it that these specific ahadith have been given these names, and they've been termed with these names, and the other ahadith have not? So because of this difference, they consider this to be from the matters that support their opinion that this is also from the speech and the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. The second, he says, وَأَنَّهَا اشْتَمَلَتْ عَلَى ضَمَائِرِ التكلم الخاص به تعالى كقوله يا عبادي إني حرمت الظلم على نفسي وكقوله أصبح من عبادي مؤمن بي وكافر بالكواكب. That the second is the ahadith al-Qudsiyya. So we will find in them that the words, the pronouns that have been used, they are attributed to Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? So for example, here Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, Ya ibadi inni haramtu dhulma ala nafsi. Ya ibadi, O my servants. Okay, so here, again, this ya is a noun which is being referred to Allah Azza wa Jal. And likewise, inni haramtu. Haramtu, again, this is a verb and it's referring to the speaker, the one who is speaking. Okay? And also the other one, asbaha min ibadi. Again, ibadi, mu'minun bi. So, mu'minun bi, again, this ya is referring to Allah Azza wa Jal. And likewise, there's another hadith in Bukhari, man aada li waliyan faqad aadantuhu bil harb. Okay? So, man aada li waliyan. So this li, again, this ya is referring to Allah Azza wa Jal. So what he's trying to say is that because these ahadith specifically, they consist of verbs, nouns, pronouns, which are directly attributed to Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, so this is one of the matters that they also believe supports their opinion. The third is وأن هذه الأحاديث تروى عن الله تعالى متجاوزا بها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فتارة يقول الراوي قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما يرويه عن ربه وتارة يقول الراوي قال الله تعالى فيما رواه عنه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فلو كان هذا اللفظ من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لانتهى بالرواية إليه كما هو شأن في الأحاديث النبوية. So here he's saying that these ahadith which are being narrated, they don't stop at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it doesn't stop at Rasulullah. Rather, it goes on to Allah Azza wa Jal. So for example, there are different ways in which the hadith have been recorded. So for example, he gives one that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, "Fima yarwihi an rabbihi." So the companion will be saying this, that Allah, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, "Fima yarwihi an rabbihi." What does he say? He says in that matter which he has narrated from his Lord. Okay. Another example is called Allah Ta'ala. Directly, Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, okay, فِيمَا رَوَاهُ عَنْهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. And there are other sort of words as well. For example, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله تعالى. Okay, so these statements, as we can understand, that it is not merely Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم mentioning a hadith. Rather, it is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrating from his Lord, attributing something to his Lord, Allah Azza wa Jal. So the scholars who have taken this position and this opinion, they also consider this to be from those matters that support and strengthen their view. And they say that if, for example, it was from the word and the speech of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it would have stopped at him. There was no need for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say قال الله تعالى. There was no need to attribute it further to Allah Azza wa Jal. So they say this is also from the matters that strengthen this view. Okay, and like in the other hadith, there's no قال الله تعالى. It's just merely قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they say that because of this difference, okay, then when there's a difference in the way it's being narrated, then that means that there's a difference in terms of who these words belong to and whose speech is it, okay? So the author now, he goes on to mention some differences between the Ḥadīth Qudsī and the Quran al-Karim. So he says that after mentioning and going over what we have in terms of the reasons as to why the scholars of the first opinion, they consider it to be the statements and the words and the speech of Allah Azza wa Jal, he said despite that, there are definitely some differences, okay, between the two, yani the Quran and the Ḥadīth Qudsī. So the first is that the Quran was transmitted to us mutawatiran, okay, mutawatiran meaning that in every era there were a number of people transmitting this Quran, this information to us, that it was impossible for them to gather upon something which was false. Okay, so what they were transmitting, it was 110% accurate and correct. Okay, just like, for example, the sun. No one has any doubt whatsoever about the presence of the sun. So similarly, when something has been transmitted mutawatiran, it is like that. Okay. The second is that it's mu'jiz bi lafzihi wa ma'na, meaning in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal challenges the disbelievers, the people of Makkah, that to bring something similar. Okay, an ayah or a verse. Okay. This is something which you will not find in the Hadith. Okay, this challenge. The third is that we worship Allah Azza wa Jal when we recite the Quran. So when we are praying, we recite the Quran. But a person, he cannot read the Ḥadīth Qudsī. His salah will not be valid. Okay. Also, someone who does not have wudu is not allowed to touch the Quran, but he can touch the Ḥadīth Qudsī. Okay. Similarly, someone who's in the state of janaba, he is not allowed, he is not permitted to recite the Quran. And also the female who is in her, who is experiencing her periods, she is also not allowed to recite the Quran. However, the Hadith, they can. They are allowed to read the Ḥadīth Qudsī. Also, another important matter is that the Quran, as I mentioned before, we cannot narrate it with its meanings. Okay, this is more understandable in the Arabic language itself, that we cannot, narrate. We cannot mention a hadith or recite a verse of the Quran based upon its meanings. Okay, we have to recite it as it is. Whereas a hadith with certain conditions, it is permissible. And the Quran, from beginning to the end, was revealed via Jibreel alayhi salam. Okay, it wasn't anything. There was no sort of verse or ayah which was given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his dream. Okay, it wasn't some sort of divine inspiration. From the beginning to the end, Jibreel alayhi salam, he brought down this revelation. Whereas the Hadith, the Qudsī, they were also inspired. They were divine inspirations. It was also something the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw in his dreams while sleeping. Okay, so he says that وَأَمَّا الْأَحَادِيثُ الْقُدْسِيَّةُ فَلَيْسَ لَهَا شَيْءٍ مِنْ تِلْكَ الْمَزَايَا. The Ahadith al-Qudsiyah, from wherever we have mentioned, none of them are found and present in these Ahadith. Rather, these Ahadith, they are narrated to us ahadan, so they are not mutawatir. Okay, and this is why many of the Ahadith al-Qudsiyah which people are narrating today, a lot of them are weak. Okay, so because they are ahad, okay, and they are Ahadith in which they are transmitted by people from generation to generation, and they are not mutawatir. Okay, saying just to let you know that there are some hadith which are mutawatir, but a lot of them are ahad. Okay, which means that they are such that they will have to cross the bridge, you can say, of jarh ta'dil, of ilal. Okay, the science of hadith, the checking the narrators, verifying the narrators. All of these things will take place when it comes to such a hadith. It's not that the scholars of the past, they just turned a blind eye on such a hadith, and because they were a hadith, so it's okay. Because it's narrated by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're okay. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is narrating from Allah Azza wa Jalla, so they're okay. No, it wasn't like that. They would verify, they would check, and they would make sure that this hadith is authentic. Okay, so obviously the Quran is not like that. But the hadith, which are especially ahad, they will have to go through this procedure. Okay, So these are some major differences. What we will conclude, and this we'll finish on this, that the first opinion is that it is the speech and the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. However, they have some major differences between the Ḥadīth Qudsī and the Quran. And we just discussed these differences. Inshallah, in our next lesson, we will go over the second opinion, which that is the speech of Rasulullah and it is the words of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. However, just the meaning which Allah Azza wa Jal has casted into the heart of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or he had experienced in a dream while sleeping. وصلى الله عليه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.